Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Sorry, the noise. Just somebody came to the gate and they have to announce it. That's a joke. Deep down, everybody knows there is so much more than what we are usually experiencing. Deep down, everybody knows you are a divine being. You are not a limited personality. But we have forgotten it and then gotten so used that we don't remember it, we don't even think about it. And yet, there is that yearning to come home in everybody. There is that awareness something is missing, and there is that longing to fill that somehow or other. As long as we are totally attached to the level of the thoughts, then we may think up all kinds of things that could maybe fill it up, run after so many things. Momentarily, it appears to work, but ends up always in disappointment because that yearning, that nagging yearning comes back. Something is not quite right. Something more should be there. Now, Mariano asked me, can you talk about the call from the self? How is the self calling us? And that is exactly that. Somehow that is so totally natural. If we are caught up in our role that we are playing, if we identify with that role and feel all those limitations that come along with it, then naturally there is that longing, and that longing is the call from the self, come home. Wake up to the fact that you are so much more than what you think you are. There is a story in the scriptures in India that a tiger always went after a flock of sheep, but then the people, they managed to kill that tiger, but in the process it was a she tiger. She was capable of giving birth to a little baby tiger, and they kept that baby tiger. The tiger grew up amongst the sheep and believed it was a sheep. Started bleeding like a sheep, bah. Running with the sheep when there was danger, being afraid like the sheep. Once a tiger came, when the little baby tiger was already grown up and still behaving like a sheep, and that tiger saw, astonished, there is a tiger amongst them, behaves like a sheep, is afraid of me. And he ran after that sheep tiger caught up with him and said, "Hey, brother, you are much more than what you are thinking you are. come, come to the water and look at your reflection and look at my reflection and see what you really are." And that baby tiger, that young tiger, went to the water and saw that they were the same in their reflection in the water. And suddenly it woke up to its potential. And instead of bleeding, started to roar like a tiger. And that's what we should do. Not more being concerned about our little problems all the time, but be aware, oh, there is something prior to that that is so much more expensive, unimaginable in comparison. Wake up to that true nature, and the self calls all the time. That longing, that yearning, that restlessness in people for more is just that. Simply then in the mind we are screwing that up instead of just recognizing that call in its purity to come home. We just run after so many things, hope to fill it up with more wealth, with more kicks, with more this, with more that. That is the guru's job. What the tiger did. Come and look at your face and see what you really. Stop behaving like a limited, frightened little personality. Now Mariana asked, how is it functioning? Why? The personality is just a reflection of what you are. The consciousness in the personality is the same consciousness as your pure consciousness. The I feeling in the personality is just a reflection of that pure I amness. So there is, even in the reflection, somehow vaguely that knowledge there is so much more, and there comes the yearning to come home. Now, Mariano asked also, how can we then go along with that call? Well, that's what we usually always talking about it. How can it be done? We have to find one way or another to become aware how much we are holding on to things, how much we are holding on to situations, how much we are holding on to our story, how much we are holding on to our emotions, how much we are holding on to all our beliefs that we think we know. And with all that, we are keeping our world experience, our world perception alive, making it feel very true, real, solid. If we really want to go in the right direction, where that call is coming from, we have to start to look at ourselves. We have to start to see what we are doing all the time, how we are creating all those obstacles, how we are creating all those tensions, how we are creating all those barriers all the time. Once they are in place, we have the tendency never to question them and just go on and on and on and on functioning like that. But we need not go on like this. Look at yourself. See what's going on. See how we are just being out of habit, driven to repeat the old patterns, the old way of functioning, the old beliefs that they direct all our actions, and then consciously start to work on it to let that go. Bring the attention back to the present, here now, and relax. Relax, relax, relax. That relaxing is the way how to let go. Sometimes it may be justified when we see a belief that is limiting, that is crippling us, that we override this belief, that we start to tell ourselves the opposite. It, it may work, but actually, even just the very seeing that it is there, and then learn to see what it does, what effects it has, and learn to relax all that instead of holding on to, is also doing the job. If we want to, we can override it with an opposite belief. It helps, but it is not an absolute necessary. It's just necessary that we see what's going on and let go, let go, let go, let go. Mariano, this is the way. How can we do it? That's what we are talking about it all the time. Becoming aware of all the obstacles that we are creating, becoming aware how we keep on repeating over and over and over the same functionings, the same patterns, and then learn not to do that anymore. Learn to become aware. Prior to all that, there is an aspect in you that is absolutely not affected, that is not a victim of the circumstances. It is prior to the circumstances, prior to time and space. For that, it needs that honesty with which we look at ourselves and then develop that capacity, that we have the courage to let go of what is blocking us. It needs courage, it needs sincerity, but it is possible. It's everybody's birthright. We are not here to be punished. Sometimes people think with a difficult life, they are here, they have done bad things, they are here to be punished. We are not here to be punished. We are here to gain experience, to unfold the consciousness, to grow, to outgrow. That is the point of being here. And all those beliefs that keep us locked in our little bubble, however noble sometimes they may sound, we have the right to see them and to let them go. It is our birthright right to come back home to our natural state. Everybody's birthright. Nobody can truly say, oh, I'm not good enough. You are good enough. You are that divine being. Not polluted, not spoiled, ever pure. This is your true nature, and it's calling all the time. Hey, consciousness, you got caught up there in your story, in your dream, identified with it. Let go, come home. And everything will look so totally different. A tree will still look like a tree, the mountain will still look like a mountain, but the relationship to the whole manifestation changes totally. If we don't think we are a little victim, a little limited figure within this dream. You are the dreamer, you are at the base of it. You are not affected by the dream. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. All right, my friends, I'm asking you, is there anyone who would like to come in and say something? I see Floyd. Hello, Floyd.
Hi, Werner. Uh, yeah, I was in the same, like you said, limited identity and its worries. Like yesterday, I realized that it will take me another 15 days, 20 days, maybe 1 month to get to Tiruvannamalai after I finish some of the work here.
Yeah.
So I was quite disappointed, and then the mind, runs its drama, like what should I do? Should I go now and then come back in few days, or should I do this? Should I do that? Should I go to Gokarna instead for few days? Should I try this, try that?
Yeah.
And this planning and like sort of also disappointment, that okay, maybe I'll miss the entire season in Thiru or something like that. So uh, at this time when this kind of thing happens, is there some way to like uh, stop it there, or make it, or should we let it run its course and not take it too seriously?
Hmm. Well, that's a good start, not to take it so serious. But you can try. If you can, if you recognize it's there, if you can just drop it, drop it. But often it's more insistent, you cannot simply drop it. And then accept,
Mm.
okay, it's there, and then just let it come. All the thoughts, all the emotions, all the worries that want to come and churn around, but try then to redirect the attention and observe what is it right now doing to your experience. Every thought is riding on a wave of prana, and that prana is affecting the body. And so when we become aware
Mm.
what our thoughts are doing, what our worries are doing, we can become aware how our body is affected, how our energy is affected, how we are having the tendency to get all tense about it. And when we become aware of that, then we can consciously start to relax, to let go, instead of fighting with the mind and say no, no, no. But then after that, it goes continues in spite of that. Let the mind do its silly job, but at the same time, observe what is it doing to me right now. Redirect the attention. Don't feed the mind on the level of the mind by either being interested in it or then fighting it. Stop feeding your energy on that mental level, redirect it and just observe what it is doing physically, energetically, and start to relax. And then the same worries that have been able to rather create a headache that simply will slowly go away because we don't feed them anymore. After some time, it may come back just out of habit, and then we can do the same thing again. Let them come, see what they are doing physically, energetically, emotionally, and relax and relax and relax.
In medicine, there is a method where they sort of, if you have pain somewhere,
Mhm.
they give a medicine or something. I don't know the exact theory behind it, but like you create some kind of sensation in another part of the body so that you don't focus on this. You sort of get rid of that attention over there on that pain, and then you sort of focus on something else, and then that stops,
Yeah.
that sort of runs its course. So is it that, sometimes if something is very strong and obsessive, like some people have something called OCD. Nowadays, many people say that they have OCD.
Mhm.
Uh, like, so is it advisable to use that kind of method where you do something extreme? Like, let's say you go and start swimming or do something extreme where you will forget this, or loosen the charge of this, or is it better to sit with it and sort of let it
Mm.
run its course?
I mean, you can redirect the attention to another subject and get absorbed in that. Nothing wrong with that. Simply, it doesn't solve the problem. The moment you stop, then the other stuff has the tendency to come back. But if it's too much, then nothing wrong with redirecting the attention in some other interest for some time, but it's not solving the problem. Usually, after that, then you have done what you wanted to do, and there you are again available, and the mind comes back with the same worries that have been there. And if if it doesn't, you don't have to go and look for it. But if it comes back again and again, then it's better that you confront it and really allow it to come instead of trying to somehow evade it, allowing to come, but experience it consciously on all the levels and start to relax. And then you take the strength out of it, of the worries. When we are not more taking them so serious on its own level, but see what they are doing on the physical, energetical level, what they are doing emotionally, intellectually, then and we start to relax, then we are taking the fuel out of these worries and they run out by themselves. If we just distract our attention with other things, then for the moment we can forget, but we are not taking the fuel out of the worries. Most of the time they're just waiting there until they have a chance and come back in full force.
So when you say relaxed, it means being aware and relaxing. Because if I go to sleep somehow,
Yeah.
if my body is tired, it will not help because when I wake up again, it will come.
Yes, sometimes people understand that I'm always talking about relaxing and they think that's a bit a lazy way to go about it. Relaxing is not to be lazy. Relaxing simply means relaxing, that you are conscious and conscious of your body and you relax your body, that you're conscious of your energetic flow and you consciously relax. It's not lazy. It's not somehow trying, this is again trying to evade it. Just go to sleep and hope then it's maybe solved. When you come out of it, sometimes it's perfectly valid. Have a good sleep when it's too heavy. If you can't sleep, if the worries don't prevent you from sleeping, but it's not having that same effect like consciously confronting it and consciously relaxing.
Mm.
When you see what it is doing to your body, how there are tensions building up, then consciously relax your body, relax your legs, relax your feet, relax your arms and shoulders, and the whole rest of the body starts to relax. And the more you are relaxing physically, the more energetically also it's becoming easy to relax. consciously, not trying to avoid it.
Mm. What about long-held regrets? Like, for example, I have a very long-held
Mm.
regret. Regret means that I don't think it makes me lose sleep or something like that,
But
but
it's
it
there.
keeps coming.
Yeah.
It keeps coming. So, like, when I used to go to college, uh, when I used to go to college, I don't know, somehow I felt that my parents were a little bit, miserly, like they
Yeah.
would not give me money or some, like some kind of, they call it pocket money in India.
Yeah.
You give some money because in India we don't have a system of working and, making your own money during your college and university when you
Mhm.
study. So we are given money by the parents, and the parents, I think, hope that you will take care of them when they get older.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Right.
so something like that. But uh, they they did not live. They did not live for long after that.
Mhm.
So maybe that's why they didn't pay me. But somehow I think there was a regret or resentment that I couldn't. And okay, I also went to a college which was very technical, professional engineering college. So there was no scope for, that kind of fun which you have as a
Mhm.
university kid, college kid,
Mhm.
Like it wasn't fun, it was more like very serious and no girlfriend, no, like, it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't like something I can say I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then when I see nowadays India is a little bit modern than before, so I see kids having fun and like they have a lot of freedom and they have a car or a motorcycle and those kind of things. So that comes back.
Mhm.
So I thought of one solution was to go back to university somehow, but then I'll be the only old man in that
Yeah.
class. But how does one deal with those kind of things? Because I think that is a bit, deeper, or I don't know what it is, but it sort of keeps coming back, these kind of things.
Yeah. But then you imagine the story. Imagine all those
Mm,
things that you are regretting not having had. They were
mm,
there. What
mm,
would really be different? You said, okay, the kids now they have more freedom. They can do all kinds of things.
mm,
Look at the kids. Are they more happy? Are they more fulfilled than you and your friends were at that time? They try,
mm,
but
mm,
actually it doesn't work. It doesn't bring that fulfillment. So
mm,
when this kind of regrets come, then you just either you tell yourself, "Hey, come on, it's an illusion that you would have been happier. It's an illusion that you would have been more fulfilled. You would have had a lot of more possibilities to get into trouble if that all that had been
yeah,
there. Of course, uh, then you can experience more, but that that's what I in the beginning talked about. We feel a void, feel something is missing, and then try to fill it up with so many things, but it actually never works. It momentarily gives us the illusion, but then that hunger comes back for more, because it cannot make you satisfied. But if that telling yourself this thing doesn't work, then do the same. Let when you feel, there it pops up again. That old story that over years comes again and again, then let that regret come. Feel maybe the old self pity that you felt at that time, that poor me, I can't do this, I can't do that. Let all the emotions come, but don't get lost in the past, in the story. Simply see what it is doing to you right now, here, now, and observe how it is affecting you physically and energetically, and relax. And gradually that regret will disappear. It will lose its power. It has its power because then you still get interested in it and think, oh, maybe I could do this, or maybe I could go to college again to have another college experience. So you
Yeah.
take it to serious on its own level. Let it come, let
Mm.
the emotions come, experience the emotions, but observe what they are doing and relax. And then that old regret will start to disappear. And the day comes when the memory of that regret comes up, you just smile at it. Yeah, I know you. You can't have any power over me anymore.
Mm. Yeah. So is it a, so it's more of a story that we create over time, because maybe when I was actually in college, I don't think I used to be so bothered about that particular thing,
Right.
you know,
After that, in time, it
because it
comes.
was not that form, you know, the resentment was not in that form
Yeah.
as far as I remember. But afterwards, you sort of, you know, say, oh, okay, maybe I should have also had fun in this way. Now people are enjoying so much. They're having a lot of, you know, opportunities to enjoy and things like that. So it sort of comes as an afterthought, you know. But probably even if my parents gave me money, I don't think it would make a big difference
It wouldn't
in
have.
a
No.
way. But then, you know, the mind sort of goes on expanding that and sort
Right.
of creating a story out of it.
Right. Understanding that is already taking out a lot of the energy in this kind of mechanisms like this regret. But if it's not enough, then okay, let the regret come, feel again all the regret, feel again, oh, why has it not been like this? But observe what it is doing, and there you can relax, and it really will go.
Yeah.
It will lose its
And
power.
yeah, and the last thing is like is most of our idea of fun or, you know, enjoyment, I think somewhere it is connected with sexual pleasure or something like that. For most of us, I think somehow it is connected with sexual pleasure or enjoyment. And, you know, like I don't think, like once I told my Brazilian friend, he was in Peru for a long time. So he came to my house in Goa and I said to him, we'll have a party, you know. And he said, what is the party? I said, my friend will come and we will drink together. So he said, that is not party. There are no girls. It is not a party. You know? So the idea of enjoyment is somewhere connected with sex. And in India, like Osho used to talk about it a lot. India, the issue is there is repression, or maybe there is not so much freedom around that subject. In the Western world, there is more freedom around that subject.
Mm.
Um, so, does that repression play a role, or, you know, or is the awareness enough to even deal with that, even if someone is in a society which is sort of repressed, and, you know, or do we need like something radical to be done for that?
No, we need a radical inside, not radically change outside. Uh, of
Mm.
course, repression is not necessarily a healthy condition, but
Mm.
when you look what's going on in the West, especially now, where this is not only tolerated but being pushed unnaturally, people are
Mm.
not free of problems because of that. In contrary, the emotional upheaval is there, and they are being pushed to go into it. And instead of growing into maturity, they have rather more problems. So it's not because of the circumstances that sexual drive is simply there. It's in the body, it's in nature, and somehow or other we have to deal with it. And of course, it is so strong because the sexual energy is the strongest force in the body. And even the idea of sex is engaging all the senses. When you think about food, then you think mainly about tasting. When you think about uh, something other, you think about one of the senses or maybe two, but in the sexuality, all the five senses are involved quite a lot. And it makes it very powerful. That's what driving people crazy all the time, hoping that in that way they will find real satisfaction. And for a moment they will, but then it doesn't stay. It cannot fill up that hole, that sense of something is missing. It can just exhaust you and overshadow it for some time. We have to have a good look at ourselves and see what is really happening when we are fulfilling desires. There is a desire, and then we are getting restless to fulfill this desire. This creates a tension, and the thought is there something should be different, something should be there. I want this, I want that. There is a whole restlessness and tension there, and when the desire is fulfilled, then we let go. And in that letting go, there is that inner beauty, that inner joyousness that has a chance to come to the surface, and people feel happy. They are not aware that that happiness is not coming from the sense enjoyment. It's not coming from the fulfilling of the desire. Simply the fulfilling of the desire gives us a chance for a moment that we are not torturing ourselves with our mind and think it should be different, but we accept the situation fully and let go. And in that letting go, at least to some extent, that inner happiness can come to the surface and one experience happiness. After that, in the mind, one is attributing that happiness again to the circumstances and tries to reconstruct it, and then usually it doesn't quite function like that, and there we are in trouble again. But that happiness, that sense of fulfillment is not coming from the circumstances, whatever we are doing. If they are to our liking, then we are not resisting, and in that not resistance, we are letting go, and in that letting go, that inner happiness has a chance to be experienced. But the nagging will come back. It will go for a moment, and then the nagging comes back. I want to enjoy again. I want to enjoy again, and hoping that somehow you are getting in course of the process happier and happier. But one is always going round and round and round in the same circles, pursuing that. If you have a good look when you fulfill a desire, and you let that happiness come, and you really observe, you become aware it's coming out from of myself. I am the source of my happiness. I am the source of my sense of fulfillment. It's not coming from the fulfillment of desire. So there is a lot of unhealthy stuff going on in the world, and especially with sexuality, it was always a delicate thing. Then repression is certainly not a good solution, but then just encouraging people to just indulge and indulge and indulge is also not a good solution, because it doesn't bring what we are really longing for.
But is it true that somehow there is, some people who have this urge is more biologically,
Mhm.
and then they are pushed into a marriage? Like I know a man is around 80 years old now.
Mhm.
So he said he got married. In fact, he loved the woman who he got married, and a lot of attraction and chemistry and whatever. So he got married. Then he got a chance to go to Russia, and do his further studies. And there he met a lot of women, and he indulged. So he did all the things which he couldn't do in India, even though he had a wife. But then somehow the woman came to know about it,
Mm.
and she started nagging him, and then he got a little bit violent or aggressive and things like that, and that sort of messed up his entire married life
Mm.
because he couldn't. The wife was never supporting him. She was telling the kids, no, no, this guy is a bank. We have to just take money from him, otherwise he's a very bad man. We should not support him in any way. We should just take money from him. That is the goal. She trained the kids like that, so that he, because she was against his, I don't know if she was against the infidelity or what was the problem, but somehow she created the whole thing like that.
Right, but it's he who contributed, who started it. He
Yeah.
hoping to get more happiness by going and doing all his things, but in the
Hmm.
end, it's always some time or other, in one way or another, it's turning against himself, because like that you are just exhausting your vital force, but you are not expanding. You're just sort of remaining and attached to this notion, I need this and I need this and I need this in order to be happy.
Yeah. So
And
he's
then
still doing that at the age of 80. He will still tell those stories. Then he'll still hope, that something comes along, even now.
yeah,
Even though, the biology has its limitations. But what I'm wondering if whether some people are designed like that or it is a sort of perversion.
of course, some people may have more trouble with some things than other people, but then other people have more trouble with other things. But even a man like this, if he were to start, he he just keeps on thinking like this. So for him, it's
Mhm.
simply a reality that he needs that. He needs that in order to be happy. And so even now in his advanced stage, it's driving him nuts. That sometimes he's happy when it happens, but the rest of the time he's restless. And is all over the years just indulging, has absolutely nothing changed in that. He's
Mm.
still having the problems not of an 80 years old, but of an 18 years old. But if he had started to introspect and look really what's happening when he has his fantasies, how he gets excited about his fantasies, how this in itself already gives him a kick, but that kick is not coming from somewhere, it's coming out of himself. He is the source of what he is looking for, and not all the women he has been running after. It's
Mm.
not them who brought him happiness, but his fulfilling his desires. Let, let him in between relax that he felt happy, but he never looked at it, he never introspected, and then his conviction is even to the present day so totally, I need that in order to be happy. Like that, he remains a slave instead of freeing himself. And you cannot say some people they are simply like that, no matter how strong something is. If we start to sincerely look at it and examine it, we can start to consciously detach from it by
Mm.
becoming aware. Actually, it's a lie. I'm not getting happiness because of this and that, simply because of this and that. For moments, I'm capable to let go. For moments, I'm capable of not telling myself it should be different. For moments, I relax, and in that relaxation, in that letting go, I feel happy. If I could learn to let go, if I could learn to relax, I would have access to that happiness all the time, no matter the circumstances, without being a slave of them.
Yeah.
Shall we leave it at that?
Yes. Thank you, Werner. Hari Om.
Hario, Hario. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? This is what is called in India Maya. Actually, the translation means that which is not. Maya, the great deluder. That even if we experience it again and again, hoping to get fulfillment, hoping to get happiness from things, from circumstances, sooner or later the disappointment comes. That doesn't mean everybody has to be now an ascetic and just turn away from the world. You can very well live your life in the world with the people, in a family, having a job, having a career, as long as we are aware this is just the role that I'm playing. And I can do my things good, and that gives a certain satisfaction. And I can bring harmony in it, and that gives a certain satisfaction. But actually, that satisfaction, that happiness is not coming from the circumstances. Not a thing, not a big bank account, not a relationship, not a status in the world can really bring that satisfaction. It's coming out of ourselves. We may fool ourselves again and again, but if we would examine, if we would really look at it, we become aware. I am the source of my happiness. I am the source of my sense of fulfillment. But the fact that in spite that deep down we know that in the mind there the pull is so strong, like because also everybody else functions in the same way, creates that human mental field where that pull is so strong, hoping to find what we are looking for, what we are longing for, that peace, that harmony, that joyousness that of existence that is simply there, that needs not be created. We are longing for that without being aware of it. And everybody looks for that. And in spite of deep down knowing that's where we would find it, we go after things, make ourselves restless, feel sometimes happy, and then the counter action comes, usually. This is Maya, that delutress, that in spite of actually it's staring in our face where this is coming from, what we are looking for, that sense of fulfillment. It stares in our face if we just observe what's going on. When we have when we find ourselves in a situation where we are totally pleased about it, where comes that sense of fulfillment from? It's coming out of ourselves in spite of that restless searching for more and more and more is always there, and it's never enough. It's enough for a moment, and then the nagging starts again. And there the chasing after fulfillment goes on. running like what Floyd just told now, an 80 years old man, is still doing the same thing in spite of a lifetime of experience. If he only had had that openness, that alertness, and observe what's going on, he long ago he would have understood his happiness, his self sense of fulfillment is not coming from what he is doing, it's coming out of himself. And that would have calmed down that drive, that restlessness to go again and again. But that is Maya, that is part of this world. But we can learn to see Maya's work and not more get deluded by it. Okay, I'm again asking you, my friends. Does anyone would like to come in and say something?
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Vikas.
Good afternoon, Werner. Uh, my question is about one of my the incident which happened with me and my family, my parents. We went to a temple. So it was a Bhagwati temple. So Bhagwati is a roop of Durga,
Mm.
and uh, she's our a deity, family
Yes.
deity.
Yeah.
And so when I was a kid, we used to go to our house, village, which is far from here. And there we used to have a dedicated room where Bhagwati has been being prayed for a long time, since ancestral time.
Mm.
So whenever we would go there, we will have to first visit that room and bow down to the deity and then come out. And it has been some time now, like maybe 6, 7 years that I have not gone to that place. But when I visited with my parents to this Bhagwati temple, um when I was coming out, I told my mother uh, that I'll tell you something. And when we were in car, I told my mother that I got the same smell um, uh, in this temple, which I used to get in that same room in my village. And my mother told me that exactly same thing I also felt. And I also did not want to tell you this, but this thing crossed my mind that the smell is same. So my question is it possible that deities will have same smell or same feeling? And my second question is, what is the effect if we pray to the deity? How does it help us to get over our this Maya,
Mm.
uh, which we were talking about? Because this story which um, Floyd was talking about, I feel it is there in everybody's life.
Mm.
Maybe at larger extent to some people get bogged down by it, and some people it doesn't bother them.
Mm.
So how does deity help in crossing our path of the world?
After all, the deities, all the different, many deities in India, they are all expressions of that same divinity. It's not so many different essences. The essence is one, and the deities, they are just expression, because that same essence can express itself in so many different ways. Actually, all the manifestation is an expression of that essence. And then the deity that is a pure manifestation of that essence makes it easier for many people to connect with that divinity that is at the same time your own self. Your own self is that deity also. That deity is also an aspect of your own potential, of your own self, of that divinity that makes everything possible. So it's absolutely nothing wrong if people have a devotional attitude, a devotional mind, then that they are praying to a deity for help because they are praying to that source, that one essence, and the deity is just a representation of that one essence. That same essence that makes you breathe in and breathe out, that keeps you alive. But if it is easier for the mind to connect with that by connecting with a deity, with a form one feels comfortable with, then this is perfectly valid because we are connecting with the same. The self and God are the same essence. And then it can very well happen what has happened. It's not that there is a particular deity there that smells in a particular way, but your for years you had a special intensity in that temple in your village, and then when you went back to that Bhagavati temple, you said, no? Bhagavati temple, then somehow you got that intensity and somehow it linked, it has connected you to the memory of all those more intense experiences there. And then this can very well happen that we start to have sense perceptions that maybe others are not having there. That is just the body does miraculous things, and we can have all kinds of sense perceptions that are not, like strictly speaking, physically there, but you're connecting your experience now in this Bhagavati temple to your old experiences, made you feel, get that smell. It's not that really that deity smells like this, but it was uh, that that it was also a Bhagavati temple made you strongly connecting with those experiences in your past, and then you felt that smell. You smelled that smell. The second question, why a deity? Or
Now, my question was like, if we pray to the deity, will he help us?
yes, whatever problem we have, we can either just look at it, or then we can also pray to God. By praying to God, you are also redirecting the attention away from the mind, from the problem. When just stepping a step back and observing, you are redirecting the attention to what it is doing and how it is manifesting. If you pray to God and say, please help me with that problem, you are redirecting the attention to the essence. And from there, it is easier to see what's going on. It is easier to detach. But at the end, the job that everyone has to do is still the same. Whether you are just observing and see what's going on, or whether you are getting that detachment by praying to the deity, it's still, each one has to be ready to let go, and then actually really consciously letting go of things that keep on coming back and creating troubles. If one has a devotional mind to pray for God for help in these matters, definitely it can help. It can do the same job like what I before described to Floyd, that you just learn to step a step back and see how it is manifesting in the body, and learn to relax and learn to let go in that way. If you can call to God and feel that divine presence, and from that perspective have a different view and more detachment, then you're somehow giving over the problem to God. Please, you take care of this? Is one way of letting go of it, of detaching of it. So ultimately, the job is the same. Whether you are doing it this way or that way, somehow or other, we have to convince our silly mind that we are not losing anything when we let go, but we are actually gaining a much more broader perspective.
Thank you, Werner. Hari Om.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anyone else who would like to come and say something?
Hi, Werner.
Hello, Yosh. You would like to say something?
Um, oh, I don't know. I just kind of,
You just came in right now.
no, I was here before as well.
Yeah. But it was not with the intention of saying something that you opened your camera.
Oh, well, kind of, and then I'm not sure.
Now you are not more sure. You're welcome to do so since you are already here, but you don't have to if you don't want to.
Okay, thanks. Well, I suppose I'm wondering about experiences of having kind of really connected with the truth and being consistently with it, and then the milieu of the life has changed so that the comfort or ease of progress seems to have changed as well. I guess I'm not sure if, I wonder if did you speak about that at all?
Right. There may be such periods, there may be moments, such experiences where everything just effortlessly happens totally easy and natural. And then suddenly it changes again. And then the tendency is there to think, what did I do wrong? How has this now slipped away from me before it came so effortlessly, naturally? That sense of being connected, which brings along peace and harmony, where we are not unnecessarily creating problems in the mind at all. And then suddenly it slips away again, and there we are again, and functioning like we functioned before, and the mind is doing mischiefs, and it seems not to flow smoothly again. I mean, it's possible to do something radically wrong, but rarely this is happening. Because once you are in that flow, there is not the desire to do some really radical mischief. So one need not think, what did I do wrong? Why has it slipped? How can I prevent that this is happening in future? Simply, it is happening for most of the people like this. It is rarely that it happens that somebody connects consciously and then that connection simply stays. There are a few rare exceptions, but for most of us, then we try, it seems nothing is happening, and then suddenly it starts to happen, We cannot do it, but it starts to happen. And then there are moments, or is a whole period where it's simply there, and then it goes again. This is happening to everybody because somehow the old habits, they are still there, and then sooner or later they're taking over again. We need not be depressed because of it and think, oh my God, so the whole thing is no use. There is still a use, because everything that we are attempting in that direction is doing something, building something up very precious. And then we can accept, okay, thank you for that moment of grace. Thank you for that period of grace where it went so smoothly. But then we can accept, okay, it doesn't go so smooth, and simply continue the same thing. Connect as good as you can. Observe what's going on and see how we are disconnecting, how the tendency is that the attention is again pulling in a totally different direction, and learn to observe that and connect in spite of that. Connect and relax. That's all we can do. We can make ourselves available, and then sometimes it's happening. And if we keep going, if we are not getting sort of uh, dazed when it's getting smooth, but keep that alertness. And even if it slips away again, can accept, okay, there is more work to do, so what? And then simply go about it, and like that, making ourselves again and again and again available, then it will happen more, it will happen for longer periods, and eventually your attention may be sucked in so deeply that you don't lose it anymore. Don't think something is wrong if that is happening. Okay, thanks for all the time where it was easier. And if it's not so easy right now, then never mind. I go about it as good as I can. I catch my attention, bring it back home, and learn to relax.
So, yeah, the kind of sadness or difficulty with just proceeding or going forward on the path, that's kind of natural to pretty much everyone, right? Like, is that what you're saying?
Right. Sometimes sadness will come. But if we are not also resisting against sadness, accept, okay, sadness is there, then actually sadness is not a bad experience. It becomes a bad experience when we say, no, I should be in bliss, I should be different, I should be joyous. But if sadness is there and we can accept sadness, then suddenly sadness is not a bad experience. And if we really let it be there, accept and let go in it, it can become very expensive. And actually the doorway to again connect deeper with that beingness. There is also another reason why this is happening, because our psychophysical manifestation has to be ready that this is permanently established in it. Because once you're really connected without always letting it go again in between, consciously connected, we are always connected, but consciously connected, then there is also a steady increase of energy that is manifesting, that is radiating through your body. And your body has to be prepared for that. And in being connected, somehow there is a little strain on the whole system. And sometimes then the body needs to have a pause, a break, where the nervous system can get stronger, can adjust to the situation, but Gradually, it will become stronger and stronger, and eventually it will be capable to hold and to manifest and to radiate on this level any amount of energy. The body is flexible, but sometimes it needs a bit time. So this is also a reason why this is happening, that even when there is a very peaceful, harmonious period and there is no particular mistake one did, that sometimes it just seems to disappear again and not be available. But then also the nervous system may have the need to relax, and in that relaxation, getting stronger to be ready to go further into it. So let's just not be devastated when it's happening. Okay, it happens, so some more work is there, but you are going in the right direction. Instead of thinking, what did I do wrong, that it went away, rather have that attitude, thank you very much for that period of grace.
Mm. Mm. I've been finding it almost like there's an impossibility to trying to um, go for or explore the spiritual path more than just a really like a bit recently. You know, if I've got a friend who I like who's going to something or doing something, then I'm kind of just, I'm happy for it uh, to do that. Um, but otherwise, it's and actually I preferred. It's funny that whatever was driving me for that kind of pushing, like willing to go to everything and do all the different, explore all the different modalities and stuff. I kind of like doing that more. I prefer it. So, but that doesn't seem to be how my life is going. And then when I get the chance to go somewhere or do stuff, it doesn't seem like it's this high priority in my life anymore, which is still, I don't understand. It's like, of course it is it's got to be the highest priority for myself. I don't want anything else in life necessarily, like at all really, but like the kind of the yeah, so that's kind of been what I've been going through at the moment.
Mhm.
Experiencing.
It's
I'm not
not
sure if it sorry.
it's not really that we have to do so many things. It's more to become aware what we are doing unconsciously all the time, and then learn to let that go. So if you are not more so interested to go here and there and do so many things, that does not mean that you are less sincere in your longing for truth. Of course, then in between can also come out of habit tendencies that pull us very much in a different direction. But if you see it, you may just let it go. If it's too strong, you may go for it and enjoy the fruits of your actions, the sweet ones and the bitter ones. But if you keep your alertness, then you're getting wiser for the experience. Then it's not time wasted. So it's not so much and path of doing so many things, that sincerity means to run to every opportunity that where something spiritual is happening, but the path is to become aware how we are preventing ourselves from being natural and learn to let go of that.
Mm.
And there we can get inspiration going to places doing certain things, but we can also quietly sit by ourselves or just live by ourselves and get that inspiration from inside. So never mind if you don't feel like doing too much about it. Just keep that alertness, keep that sincerity, that honesty, and then you will always find your way.
Great, thank you.
I wish you well. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hello.
Hello, Ritis.
Yes. So I would like to ask about this process of attention, what you're explaining mainly when we bring back attention to ourselves. So if the attention wanders somewhere to the objects, then someone notices it, and it looks like then it's different kind of attention which goes to that place where it was before, and then it's something coming back, let's say to the body or to some spot in the body, and it looks like this three things, like attention, that one who directs an attention, and that one who what is, how to say, the self
Object.
or object on where it is put attention put back.
Yeah.
So which of those three things, which is real me?
That which makes the whole experience possible.
Yes.
We have to catch the attention on the level where it's at. And
but when you say, when we catch attention, so this, is it the one who catches attention? Because if catching is an action.
Yes.
And it looks like it's object as attention.
Yes. The object, no, the attention is focused on an object. Well, attention means that capacity to focus consciousness on something. And then when we become aware that that attention, that focus of consciousness is fixed on things that we are not really wanting to hold on to, we can consciously refocus that consciousness. And you asking, but who is the one who is doing that?
Yes.
Yes. You, the one who is asking this question. As a person.
But how is it possible if one who is asking the question directs an attention and then it puts back on somewhere which it should be the self, but I cannot find this spot with the self. So there's no point of this concept of the self where attention is put.
Yes. When we put the attention on a certain object, then of course, then there is that object and putting the attention and the one who is putting the attention there, the three things are there. But then when you put the attention back to its source, then we try to do the same thing first and find the proper spot where, where is this self coming from? And there we are, of course, going to be frustrated because there is no such spot.
Yes.
But we can use the tendency of wanting a spot by choosing a spot in the body that we are using as our main center of attention, because it becomes a very powerful help if we choose such a center where we feel most comfortably centered. That doesn't mean the self is more in that center than anywhere else, but it's a help for the mind that when we are distracted, when we are agitated, if we have such a center in the body that we are using again and again, it becomes much easier to bring the attention to that present. And then from that, it's like that what we are looking for stands right behind it. Wherever that spot is, whether you use that third eye, or whether you use the throat, or whether you use the heart, or whether you use the hara, or invent your own spot. But if you have such a spot where you are focusing again and again in the body, all that it needs is to just further let go, further relax, and then the attention sinks back in itself, in its source. Then there is no more doing.
But this relaxation procedure, relax, it's or letting go, it's means that attention is on some object, and it
Yes.
should let go. But usually, how attention functions in the world, we just redirect attention, and always is present, but on different objects.
Yes.
And when it's letting go, more easy is to put in on another object, because letting go, it's nowhere to put it.
Right.
And how to do this action, this relaxation action.
Yes.
Is
it's,
it an
it's
imagination?
Still an act. It's still an act. It's still a doing. But we are not aware how much we are doing to do the opposite, to keep tensions, to keep pain. Actually, how much energy we are investing in creating our problems, our misery unconsciously. A continuous doing, action. And then when we become aware, oh, that effort goes in a direction, then we can do something about it. We cannot do something about to become the self. You are the self. But we can do something about our habit of keeping the attention in ways that makes us feel estranged from reality, and redirect it, and like bring it back to God, or bring it back to the source, or simply focus on a spot in the body, and then physically relax and start to energetically relax. And that relaxation at first we give the impulse, it's still a doing, but then it's starting to happen effortlessly by itself. It's like then the attention is being effortlessly, gradually sucked back in itself, not in an object. That's what the mind cannot figure out, cannot understand. That we can somehow understand putting the attention on something and understanding the thing and being busy with the thing, but then we can still understand that it's possible to withdraw that and turn it back to its source. But then invariably the mind immediately looks for a spot when we say the source. And so we can give it that spot to dilute it, that it has found the source, but then, then somehow there one has to just even let that go. And then it starts to happen. We cannot do that. But if we give it a chance, if we make ourselves available in that way, then it will start to happen that consciousness is really coming back to itself. It's becoming fully aware of itself. Consciousness being consciousness, not object consciousness and subject consciousness, two consciousnesses, but simply consciously conscious. The mind won't bridge that gap. The mind will not be able to do that and then to understand it and say, okay, I got it. The mind is our thoughts. They're creating all the troubles, and the same thoughts we can redirect that the attention goes in another direction, but then that is as far as the mind can do something about it. And then it's just letting go also from the thoughts that are doing something. And that letting go is not somebody who is doing it. It's simply if we are becoming aware that holding on to is painful, then somehow from the self, from the source comes the impulse, just let go. It's not more a doing. It's stopping, standing in the way, a natural process that should be there that we have learned not to let happen.
But when we go to the world and operate with the things, so attention again should go back to the objects.
Mhm.
And then what we also should bring it back in the worldly situation, because it's nature of attention to involve in objects and to operate them. Otherwise, we cannot do something in the world.
First, it seems that it's a little like a to and fro, that the attention goes out to objects, then you call it, the objects sort of disappear, you are not quite functionable. And then you put it again to the objects, and then you lose the other.
Yeah.
But the more you are learning to become aware of that something that is always there, the more that awareness dawns also, there is the possibility of not losing that awareness, and still on the relative level, the attention can play its role and go to things and be active.
But it looks like it should be some conscious effort to keep, how to say, sustain that attention on the self when we are involving in some usual tasks in the world.
It should be natural. It should be effortless. But we have learned to function in such a way different that it becomes an effort to do so, as you say. In the beginning, it feels like I have to remind myself, I have to make a little effort, that not a terrible effort to break through something, but a little effort of reconnecting again. But then on the way, it will start to happen that suddenly it's there. And you don't have to make an effort. And everything goes smoothly. The attention can go to objects and do things in the world in a reasonable way, and still that awareness is there. And then it may again break and disappear and think, oh my God, why it's gone again? What did I do wrong? But as I said before, it's not that we do something wrong. It's just no time that it can stick. But then when that happens, then you accept, okay, back to the work, bringing the attention back, holding it as good as I can, more and more in a relaxed way, and then it will start to happen. That is the thing. The difficult thing for the mind to accept, we cannot do it, and yet we have to do something about it. Because if we don't do anything, we just repeat and repeat the old story. So we have to make that effort to see what we are doing all the time and learn not to do that. And then it seems to be an effort to be naturally connected, but it's simply because the habit is so strong to pull in the other direction. And then, but if we do that, it's like then we are inviting that something else is happening, something we cannot do. That's like the self is taking over. But this may come for a period and then go again, and then we can accept, okay, thank you very much for that period of grace, but now I'm working again, and by working, I'm making myself available that it is possible that it can happen again. And if we don't give up, if we are not getting disheartened, if we are again and again slipping out, eventually as an act of grace, not something we can do, but your attention may be sucked so deeply that you don't lose it anymore. That even when the outside it goes on hectically and things are crazy, that you may also consciously be totally absorbed in that, but deep down there is that awareness, there is that aspect always present that is absolutely not affected by all this.
So it's the matter of remembrance. Then we should remember and it come back always.
As long as we don't remember, not much can be done. But
Yeah.
when you remember, then you can connect consciously. And then it starts to happen sometimes automatically, effortlessly, that you need not remember anything. It's simply there. But then it goes away in spite of that. And the way to make yourself available is to remember and to consciously connect as good as we can and relax in that.
Okay. So the what you today also explained about Maya. So Maya as illusion. So if we remember and coming back, so there's no Maya anymore.
There is no Maya because you are not fooled into finding your fulfillment, your sense of completion by running after things and doing this and doing that. But you may still be active, but then your action becomes something different. They just become a joyous expression of your inner beauty instead of running after things and thinking, if I do this, I get happiness. If I do that, I'm getting fulfillment. If I do that, I'm getting better.
So, but can it be said that Maya, because usually Maya is explained as illusion or illusory world around us. Can I say that Maya is not this illusion world? Because if I'm remembering and coming back, so the world is real because it's the same as me. So is it Maya just this function of forgetting?
Right. That's what we call Maya. That illusion of I'm going to find something which is already here, which is natural somewhere else, and then get entrapped in all the things. It's not the world that is Maya. It's our idea that we need to do this and that and find something. Well, it need not find something, it's already here, it's now. And that delusion, that is what is Maya.
Okay.
Shall we leave it at that?
Yes, thank you. Hari
You are
Om.
welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om. The self is always calling. It started out like this. Why? We came here. The self is projecting into this matrix. In this matrix, in any matrix, in this magic show, not to somehow evolve essentially. Essentially, nothing changes. And yet, that experience of that reality keeps on unfolding. So, self is projecting in a matrix like this to gain experience, to unfold, to grow, you can say. Essentially, remaining always the same. But then the natural way is that this is a joyous, playful process, always aware that self is prior to that projection, prior to time and space. And somehow that projection takes on its own apparent life, although all the consciousness, all the energy, all the life is borrowed from the self. Somehow that delusion forms that me, I personally am a different, separate being. And along with it comes all the trouble. And so there is always that call deep down in the subconscious, come back home to that natural state where everything is harmony and peace, and the natural joyousness is there that we need not create. And to listen to that call means that we start to observe our Maya, our delusions, our ideas that I need to do this in order to feel fulfilled. Well, deep down we know all I have to do is to let go of that idea that me, I'm separate from that source, and let the attention sink back to the source. And then life becomes what it is meant to be, a playful, joyous journey through this time-space continuum, getting richer for the experience with every moment. No need of creating pain and suffering unnecessary. Just playfully go along. That was basically the intention of that projection. I wish you all well. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.